Hello and welcome to Real Watchers Movie Club. My name is Garrett.
And I'm Kevin.
And we are your hosts. Movie Club is a show where we pick a movie every week and discuss it just like a book club. On today's show, we're covering the historical drama Schindler's List. Our thoughts and more coming up on Movie Club. Released in 1993, Schindler's List was directed by Steven Spielberg and stars Liam Neeson, Ray Fiennes, and Ben Kingsley. In German-occupied Poland during World War II, industrialist Oskar Schindler gradually becomes more concerned for his Jewish workforce after witnessing their persecution by the Nazis. It is currently ranked 6 on IMDb's Top 250 and currently has a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd and is ranked number 13 on its Top 250. It won 7 Oscars for Best Original Score, Best Film Editing, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Best Original Screenplay, Best Director, and Best Picture. It was nominated for 5 more for Best Makeup, Best Sound Design, Best Costume Design, Best Supporting Actor for Ray Fiennes, and Best Actor for Liam Neeson. So before we dive into our thoughts, though, we do want to issue a spoiler warning for this film. We'll be talking about everything that happens in this movie, including some of its darker moments and some of its most story poignant. So if you want to go see the film, which you should, all of you should see this movie, go out and watch it before coming back here. You can pause it. It's okay. We don't blame you. And then stay tuned to the end of the show to find out what movie we're going to be covering next week, because luckily the tone's going to lighten up a little bit after the last 2 films.
We'll see.
Alrighty, Kevin. So this one is back to your choice this week, but we did move this movie up. We did have this film scheduled a little bit further back in our schedule. I think it was a couple months from now when we were supposed to do this originally. But recently we both went and saw one of the best films of 2023, which is The Zone of Interest, which is kind of, I tell people it's kind of like a, not a partner film to Schindler's List, but kind of essential viewing in the same way that Schindler's List is. And that conversation got us going that we should cover Schindler's List a little bit sooner. So here it is, we're covering it. So obviously I kind of took the words out of your mouth. That's kind of why it was picked. But besides the reason of us watching The Zone of Interest recently, what else made you select this film?
I just always heard that it was a good film in general, and I like history movies, so I think after seeing The Zone of Interest, I wanted to see another point of view of the Nazi camps and World War II and Poland and Germany. So it was very, very intriguing to watch this, and I'll leave it at that for now.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's weird because it's kind of like both films, you get both sides of the German viewpoint in a way. Obviously, Schindler's List is very set on the Jewish perspective of the Holocaust as a part of the perspective, but also you're seeing it from the perspective of Oskar Schindler, who is, of course, a German entrepreneur, industrialist, who starts to have, the exact opposite reaction and feelings that the characters in The Zone of Interest do. So you're seeing kind of the opposite sides of what the German people had gone through, because there were plenty of people that either did not know the Holocaust was happening or didn't like it and just couldn't say anything because of obviously the Nazi party ruling at the time. But that out of the way, it really, it should surprise no one that this film is remarkable.
It shouldn't, but Liam Neeson, I've only seen him in action movies, so this is his first serious role for me. Dude, he can play this. I was pleasantly surprised that he could give that much emotion, but still not show emotion because he's supposed to be German half the time. And I like how The Zone of Interest and this one is through the point of view of a Nazi party member, but in their different ways because so many people were different back then as well. So coming up, watching this, first of all, I thought this was all about the Holocaust. I didn't know about the industrial industries and how he picked them and everything. So it was a good watch for me because I don't like, some of it was hard to watch. You could the point shootings and everything like that, but it was cool to he realizes that this is bad, so he still tries to get people to safety, but
Mhm.
it still is harder than it looks.
Yeah, obviously, the worse that the actions the Nazis take get, the feelings he has towards his workers and the Jewish people obviously
Hmm.
improves. Like, it's not that he necessarily has a bad view of them to begin with.
No.
I mean, as far as we're made aware, right? There's no explicit, like, oh, I hate these people, right?
Hmm.
It's just, oh, they're my workers
Yeah.
and I need the best or whatever. And it
Hmm.
and it shifts, right? Like obviously it starts with his assistant who is, let me go ahead and double check, Ben Kingsley's character. I
Hmm.
forget his name. Itzhak.
Yeah.
He when he starts getting people like the one-armed man or like
Hmm.
children and things like that into the facility, obviously he has to sell it to Schindler, right? Like, oh, children are the only ones who can get their hands inside shells, right,
Hmm.
to polish them, which then Schindler uses with, the Nazi officers.
Hmm.
But also, like, his actions start to rub off on Schindler. And I think once Schindler realizes what's going on, because the first jumping off point for him, right, is when they're clearing out the ghetto.
Yeah.
And he sees it up on the hill with his wife.
Hmm.
And then obviously seeing things at the camp, seeing the trains and all that kind of stuff really doesn't do any favors either for his views of the party.
Hmm.
But then the big one is obviously the burning of the corpses,
Yeah.
which
Oh, that was so hard to watch for me. Like
really hard to watch.
I had to look away a couple of times. Like even when they just line them up and shoot them for no reason, that was hard to watch too because it looked so real as well. Because it was
Hmm.
black and white. You don't have to distinguish color or anything like that. They could just put any liquid in there and patoo, there it is. Um, but I wish I would have seen the girl in the red sweater a lot more. I felt like she wasn't really there a lot of the movie, and
Well, she's specifically placed. She
yeah.
she is. If you're not aware, there is the film is in black and white. It does start in color with the candle and then
Hmm.
transitions to black and white, which is a really cool effect.
Hmm.
Because it's supposed to be like the fire of hope going out, if I'm not mistaken. But the girl in the red jacket, sweater, whatever she's wearing, um, she is specifically there, and it's designed to make you take your attention off the bad things, right? To kind
Yeah.
of like what the German people were going through, right? They're not seeing the bad, they're seeing, they're looking through the tree, through the forest to look at the tree or whatever that saying is, right?
Hmm.
And so that is there. And then obviously it hits you like a ton of bricks when you see her on the cart later in the movie,
Yeah. Yeah.
because no one is outside of what's happening.
Yeah, and no, and it says that no child, man, or woman is safe during this period, unfortunately. But I did like when he he is a part of the Nazi group, Nazi family, but he
The
doesn't
party.
just
Yeah.
the party. Yeah, sorry. But he doesn't display it like he is. He only has that little button,
Hmm.
so no one can like. He wants to come off as an entrepreneur, not a part of the Nazi party, which I
Hmm.
really liked because if he dressed up like a Nazi officer or something, some Jewish people might think they were going to die going to that facility. So him just casually dressing and then just having the button there, I feel like was very, very nice touch because it didn't make you think he was a bad guy. Because in this movie, he's not. He's just trying to profit off of the war.
Yeah, he is a businessman. He's an
Hmm.
industrialist. He's an entrepreneur who, like, to be successful, realizes that he has to be a part of this party. I mean, I could be getting the history completely wrong on that. There actually was a human being named Schindler, Oscar Schindler, and
Hmm.
this is obviously like dramatized, but this did occur. So if we are getting the history wrong on that, don't flame us too much in the comments. But we're just
Hmm.
going off basically what the movie tells us and what we're able to go off of that kind of provided detail.
Hmm.
But yeah, like you kind of pick up he's like a dick, maybe like an asshole, in the beginning, but like that all changes and culminates in possibly one of my favorite moments in cinema, which is him leaving the factory after the war is over and the workers presenting him with the gift they made for him, with that has the Hebrew saying like whoever saves the one life saves the world entire, and then him breaking down like I could have saved more people. One of my favorite moments in all film.
I mean, I put that in my Letterboxd review. And oh my gosh, he saved so many Jewish lives, but the fact that he sat there and said, "Oh, this could have been one more. This could have been three more if I would have done something." It's like, but you did already so much for the Jewish community, and if you would have saved one of them, they would have been happy with it. But you saved all of these people, and it was he played that part so well too. Just that hurt a little bit when I was watching it.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of playing parts incredibly, Ray Fiennes as Amon Goth or Goth or whatever his name is, the camp leader, one of the most hated characters in film history, one of the ones that you love to hate because he's performing so well. He is embodying this horrible person, and he's doing it so well that he knocks it out of the park.
Oh, he does. But then he shows little glimpses of is he doing the right thing with the Jewish girl? It starts with an H. I don't remember her name, but it's the
Helen.
maid. Yeah, with Helen. He has those little cracks sometimes, like, am I doing the right thing? But then he goes straight back to being the officer that he is throughout the whole movie. But seeing those little cracks, that would happen in real life if you're like, oh, I found this amazing, beautiful woman that he says. And then it gets him thinking about it more, like, okay, I don't want this woman to get hurt somehow because she is Jewish. How can I stop that? But he never really puts it into play like Schindler does.
Yeah, like you get the feeling like he'd probably be like, crap, she's gone. But like wouldn't do anything to fight for her. Which is like, it's so well done on his part in the writing, obviously, to bring that kind of moment to life. Also, the moment between Schindler and him where he's talking about the emperor pardoning people. And then he tries to like exude that I pardon you, like is in essence it's kind of funny, right? Because Schindler is trolling him in a way, like, oh yeah, you should probably that's true power is like letting people live. And he's like, huh. And then he tries it, and then like immediately 10 seconds later, it's not even remotely nice anymore. As he just, takes the pot shot at the kid who didn't scrub his tub correctly.
Yeah, which the stains didn't come out, so it's not his fault.
Right? Yeah, like I'm not doing anything to I'm not like if I had a maid or like a house cleaner and there was a stain on my bathtub still, I'm not going to be like, wow, they're horrible, I should kill them. I'd be like, maybe I need stronger cleaner. Like,
yeah,
it's but that's again, it's that is what happened at that time. That was the level of hatred and animosity toward these people. And a lot of people tend to forget that, and a lot of people deny that whole thing even happened, which is, if you deny any of this happened, there's literally, there's so much out there. Like, you could, find out the truth. But anyhow, off my soapbox for a moment. But I think, like, this film is also, I will say, this film is long. It is a longer film, which, like, in some ways, it almost feels like the length of an epic, right? You're getting closer to like the Lord of the Rings time mark or like the Lawrence of Arabia. It's not as long as those. I want to say, let me double check here. I think Schindler's List
is 3 hours and 12 minutes.
3 hours and 12 minutes, 3 hours 15, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And like, while it does feel a little over long, like, I definitely get exhausted at the end of this movie emotionally, right? And I don't fault the film for that. Like, that's obviously my reaction to the film, but it is a longer film, especially after how short the Zone of Interest was at like an hour and 20 or something like that.
True. Yeah. When I was looking at it, I knew it was going to be 3 hours going into it, so I kind of prepared myself for it, but I wasn't prepared for the emotional toll that it throws on you. And if you're not ready for that, it will feel like a long movie because of how much heartache you have in it and how
Mhm,
much you grow to like this the people that he saves. And
mhm.
it's just it's worth the 3 hours though.
Yeah.
It's like Oppenheimer to me. Yes, it's 3 hours long, but every little thing is important into it, and that's why it's 3 hours.
Exactly. And like for any other movie, I'd say it's overlong, but there's nothing I would cut out.
Yeah.
Everything is important. And so it's like, it loses a point, right? Like it's not like, like there's nothing I could do about it, right? It's just,
Hmm.
or nothing I would do to it. It's
Hmm.
just, it is a length of time, which you're going to have to invest into a movie that you're not going to feel great after. like,
Well, even what I did was I watched an hour and 30 minutes of it one day and then came back to it the next day, an hour and 30 minutes, and it felt very nice to have that little break to like kind of build you back up again and then
yeah.
just to tear you back down. But
Hmm.
that little break was really nice just to it makes you think about it a little bit more about the movie, the first part of it.
Yeah. And kind of changing topics just a little bit there. That 3 hours, though, is filled with moments like the ending with Oscar Schindler that are just absolutely incredible for different reasons. And I think it's one of those movies where you start to savor every victory and like dread every defeat. Like, and it's
Hmm.
just, it does feel like defeat after defeat after defeat after defeat. But then there's little glimpses of positivity in there, right? When
Hmm.
Oscar Schindler gets the hose and they're spraying water on the people so they can actually drink and cool off. Whereas the
Hmm.
Germans are like, oh, it's funny, you're giving them hope. Like, like, which is
Yeah.
horrible. But like, it feels like a victory, even though like it doesn't really actually feel like one after what we've been seeing and doing,
Yeah. Hmm.
or what the movie's been doing, rather. But like, so it's like every moment where something positive happens,
Hmm.
like you're dreading, and then something good happens. The biggest example of that I have is the shower sequence when
Yeah.
the women arrive at Auschwitz. I believe it's Auschwitz where they arrive at,
Yeah.
and they're led into the shower room, and the lights just shut off, and everyone starts screaming because it's you like in your brain, if you know anything about the Holocaust,
Yeah.
what's probably going to happen in there,
Hmm.
and then it's actually just a shower. And then
Yeah.
that moment where they are elated, you have that nervous like, oh, like
Hmm.
because the movie's not like this movie is not going to shy away from doing that to that group of people,
Mm-mm.
and
Mm-mm.
it should portray it accurately. But it again, emotionally, it's that victory that you savor when it happens. That
It's
little positive ray of light for a brief
some
moment.
some people will say it's that little flame of hope at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
little spark, but it doesn't
Hmm.
catch a flame, but it's a little spark,
But
which
yeah.
is brilliant. And those moments are so well done, and I think this is really the point in time where, because obviously I believe, as far as I know, this is our first Spielberg movie on the show. I'll have to go back and double check. You're
Didn't we
probably
watch Jurassic Park?
oh, we did watch Jurassic Park. Never mind. This is our first serious Spielberg movie.
Spielberg. Yeah.
Not the blockbuster Spielberg.
Hmm.
Where like this is where he was mostly known for his blockbusters for the
Hmm.
longest time. Jaws and Jurassic Park and Raiders of the Lost Ark and all that, and then came out with Schindler's List, which is just completely different from the rest of his filmography. Before that, obviously, after that or after this, we got Saving Private Ryan and The Post and Lincoln and things like that.
Hmm.
But like, no one had faith in him that he would be able to do this well, and then he completely shattered everyone's expectations and he was the right person.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it was nice to see him because again, like you said, those blockbuster movies were so good. How can he be serious about a serious topic? And he just said, "Hold my beer," and then came out with Schindler's List. So, I've always thought of him as a great director, but how diverse he is as a
Mhm.
director is amazing.
That's why he's one of the best of all time.
Hmm.
Just unquestionably one of the best directors of all time. Alrighty, Kevin. So, I mean, obviously, we both think this movie is not only very important to see, but it's also just very good.
Hmm.
Since this was your pick, I will go ahead and go over my score first. So, I think, honestly, personally, I think that Schindler's List is a near perfect film. I think it is emotionally devastating. and it is it's an essential piece of cinema. It's one of those films that's going to become more important as history goes on, as this generation that is included in this film continues to disappear. And it is very important that you do watch this film, obviously, to get a grasp of what happened. It's probably the best representation of the Holocaust in film, as far as I know. Could be wrong. But for me, I think it's near perfect. Again, it's 3 hours and 15 minutes of just complete emotional devastation. So and it's not a film that I rush to rewatch. So because of that, I have to mark it down just a point to give it a 99 out of 100 and a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Yeah. So I also thought this was an emotional roller coaster throughout the whole entire thing. I did forget to mention one of the heartbreak things is at the very end, where you see all of the actual people that he saved putting the rocks on his tomb. Oh my gosh, that hurt my heart too. But you get to see the impact that he had in real life, not in a movie script, which that was amazing to see. But I gave this movie 5 stars out of 5 stars. I get it a 97 because of that runtime, and that's basically it. There's nothing bad to say about this movie, except maybe it's a little long, but everything happens for a reason because it's that long.
Yeah, and it's very worth it to point out, because I'm a huge I hate it when people say that a movie is too long, therefore it's not good, or it's that's a real negative thing. And personally, when I'm saying that it is over long, it's more so that it's continuously emotional from beginning to end. That it is draining emotionally to watch, even though as good as it is, it's just so draining. It's not one of those things that you rush to rewatch. And so for that's what I mean by that. I'm not saying 3 hours means it's not good. It's not what I'm saying at all.
No,
so that's what neither of us are saying.
It's 3 hours of pulling your heartstrings and then giving you hope and then taking it away.
Yeah, exactly. So the question now falls to you. What do you think of Schindler's List? Go ahead and leave those comments down in the comment section down below. Remember to be respectful with this. We're not looking for any comments on anything going on with Israel right now or anything like that. We're specifically talking about the film itself, so please limit your comments to that. Next week, we'll be covering the sci-fi thriller Interstellar. So make sure to watch it before next week so that you're not spoiled. Thank you so much for watching again. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to us here on the video and here on YouTube. And follow us everywhere on social media at Real Watchers. That's REEL Watchers everywhere. And until next time, make sure to keep your eyes on the screen.